Hello everybody, and I am so extremely sorry for the late video. I'm not going to be filming an introduction. I know I did that last video as well. I just want to jump right into the long and overdue video. Life sort of just happened, and that is why I was not able to publish the video when I wanted to. So I am very sorry, but here it is, and I hope you enjoy. So today we are going to uncover the many faces of the Golden State serial killer. We are going to uncover who he really was and why and how it took the police so long to catch him. Now this is a very graphic story, a very long and complicated story, so please try and follow along. Pause it if you have to. I will be trying to break it up as best as I can without missing any crucial details. So, there's 3 different crime sprees I'm going to be covering. The first one is the Vasilia Ransacker, then we'll go into the East Area Rapist, and then the Golden State Killer. However, he has so many nicknames such as the Diamond Knot Killer and the original Night Stalker, which I will all touch and cover on. The Vasilia Ransacker. This crime spree lasted until 1973 until 1975. Over a period of 20 months, the Ransacker was believed to be responsible for 1 murder and around 120 reported burglaries. The Vasilia Ransacker usually prowled around neighborhoods and broke into single-family homes, tearing apart the interior while only stealing small and personal trinkets, ignoring more high-valuable items that were in plain sight. A part of his MO consisted of placing warning items, such as dishes or bottles, against doors and door handles, a technique that he would later carry on during his career as a serial rapist. His first reported crime was on March 19th, 1974, but it is presumed that he might have begun as early as 1968 to 1969. The Ransacker was also suspected of perpetrating a number of rapes and murders in the area. On September 11th, 1975, whilst attempting to kidnap a 16-year-old Beth Snelling, he ended up shooting her father dead, 45-year-old journalism professor Claude Snelling. The last known activity of the Ransacker was on December 12th, 1975. At this time, the police had really ramped up the stakes by doing stakeouts almost every night, and there was even a reward. During the night of a stakeout, he was caught prowling by a local detective, William McGowan. After feigning surrender, he pulled a gun out and shot McGowan, shattering his flashlight before escaping. McGowan would later provide a description of the Ransacker whilst under hypnosis, describing the shooter as baby-faced. A connection between the Ransacker crimes were also linked to 2 other series of burglaries committed by the so-called Cordova cat burglar and the Exeter Ransacker in 1973. Crime Spree 2. East Area Rapist. This started on 1976 and ended around 1979. On June 18, 1976, the first attack committed by the East Area Rapist occurred in Rancho Cordova at 4 a.m. About 6 months and exactly 7 attacks later, the affected communities began to worry. While the Sheriff Department of Sacramento advised the news stations not to report the rapes, on October 18th, 2 attacks occurred on the same day, to which authorities held neighborhood meetings to inform civilians and dispel false rumors. It was believed that he sometimes entered the homes of his future victims to unlock windows, unload guns, and plant ligatures for later use. He frequently telephoned future victims, sometimes for months in advance, to learn their daily routines. He would also telephone his previous victims. I'm going to play one of the recorded telephone calls that he made to his previous victims. Now, viewer discretion is advised.
Hello? I'm gonna kill you.
Victims were then bound with ligatures, often shoelaces, which he had found or brought with him, blindfolded and gagged with towels, which he had ripped into strips. The female victims was usually forced to tie up her male companion before she was bound. These bindings were often so tight that the victim's hands were left numb for hours after being untied. He separated the couple, often stacking dishes on the male's back and threatening to kill everyone in the house if he heard them rattle. He moved the woman to the living room and raped her repeatedly, sometimes for several hours. The East Area Rapist spent hours within the home, ransacking closets and drawers, eating food and making meals, drinking beer, and then raping the woman again or making additional threats. He would threaten his victims with silence. He would pretend that he had left the house before jumping out from complete darkness. He then crept away, leaving victims uncertain if he had left. Margaret Ward Low was the youngest victim of the East Area Rapist. She was just 13 years old when she became the 27th victim of the East Area Rapist. Unlike the previous victims, Ward Low read everything she could about the East Area Rapist, and she knew he thrived on fear. Because of this, she was defiant through the whole ordeal, which helped her survive the attack. On November 10th, 1977, the East Area Rapist popped open the lock on the sliding glass door, turned on the kitchen sink and stove oven for ambient noise, and tied up her mother. He also stacked plates on her back, and he said if he heard the plates rattle, he would kill her and cut off Margaret's fingers, something he had also threatened to do in other attacks. Then he went for Margaret. Margaret was awoken earlier in the morning by a man wearing a ski mask and leather gloves, pointing a flashlight in her face. At first she thought it was someone in her family playing a practical joke to get her out of bed. He raped her, however he wasn't getting the fear that he wanted out of Margaret. However, this didn't mean he left straight away. He stayed in their home for another hour and a half after the rape took place, walking in and out of her bedroom. Oddly, when Margaret was lying on her bed naked, shivering cold, the East Area Rapist put a blanket over her. On April 2nd of 1977, the first couple was attacked. On May 17th, Sacramento County was thrust into a state of panic after the East Area Rapist threatened to murder his next two victims. As a result, sheriff patrols were increased and even civilians formed their own patrols. However, the East Area Rapist sent a taunt to the heightened security by attacking his first Sacramento couple. On February 2nd, 1978, Brian and Katie Marjorie were found dead, having been shot to death while walking their dog. Some investigators suspected that they had been murdered by the East Area Rapist because of the close proximity to their location and the other attacks, and the fact that a shoelace was found nearby. On June 5th, 1978, the East Area Rapist turned up for the first time in Stanislaus County, assaulting a couple living in northeast Modesto. Between that date and July 5th of 1979, he had been active in Modesto, Davies, Concord, Danville, San Ramon, San Jose, Fremont, and Walnut Creek. The attacks abruptly ended after an attempt attack on July 5th, 1979, when a would-be victim, who was a light sleeper, woke up and found a man putting on a ski mask and chased the intruder away. The East Area Rapist briefly resurfaced on October 1st, entering the home of a couple, Mary Brown and John Davis, and tying them up. As he ransacked their house for valuables, the couples escaped and the intruder was forced to flee on a bicycle. On December 30th, 1979, the East Area Rapist got a new name, the original Night Stalker. He had to be renamed after Richard Ramirez stole the title of the Night Stalker. The original Night Stalker killed Dr. Robert Offerman and Deborah Manning by both shooting them to death, presumably after Offerman managed to escape from his bonds and attempted to fight back. On March 13th of the following year, the next victims, Lyman and Charlene Smith, were found dead, this time being bludgeoned with a fireplace log. This time it was revealed that the bonds used to restrain victims were tied in a diamond knot. His nickname changed to the Diamond Knot Killer, but only for a short while. Months later, Keith and Patricia Harrington were also murdered, and then on February 5th, 1981, Manuela Witten, who was aged 28, was attacked in February 1981. She was raped and killed at her house. A few months later, Cherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez were also murdered. Gregory Sanchez and his girlfriend, Cherry Domingo, were attacked in July 1981. Janelle Lisa Cruz, who was aged 18, was the Golden State Killer's last known victim. She was beaten to death so brutally in her bed on May 4th, 1986, 5 years after the last murders. The Golden State Killer has been tied to 12 murders, however, he's suspected of many more, and at least 50 reported rape victims, again, suspected of many, many more. And he has at least robbed 120 residencies across California. 32 years after the end of his killing spree, in 44 years after the beginning of his crimes, many false leads, and one person actually being charged with 2 murders, the cases were finally linked almost entirely by DNA testing many years later. When DNA from an original Night Stalker rape case was uploaded to a website called GEDmatch, a family tree based on the results eventually narrowed down to a suspect. After a DNA sample was collected from a door handle of the suspect's car, it matched with samples relating to Golden State Killer's crimes. So who was this evil killer? It was retired policeman Joseph D'Angelo, now aged 75. However, don't let his age fool you. He may appear fragile and old in the trial. However, footage leaked from his cell of him actively moving without any struggle, jumping up and down, seeming totally fine. Some background on the Golden State Killer. Joseph D'Angelo has 3 daughters and grandchildren. He was born on November 8, 1945, in Bath, New York. He has 2 younger sisters and a younger brother. A relative reported when D'Angelo was a young child, he witnessed his 7-year-old sister being raped by 2 airmen in a warehouse in West Germany, where his family was stationed at the time. Following his conviction, one of D'Angelo's sisters claimed that he was abused by their father growing up. Prosecutors reported that D'Angelo committed burglaries and killed animals during his teenage years. He joined the United States Navy in September 1964 and served 22 months during the Vietnam War as a damage control man. He graduated with an associate degree in police science with honors, and then he earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. The room where D'Angelo apologized to his victims during sentencing was the same ballroom of the very same University of Sacramento where he graduated in 1972. His police career. From May 1973 to August 1976, he was in the burglary unit, serving as a police officer in Exeter. He then served in Auburn from August 1976 to July 1979, when he was arrested for shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent. He was sentenced to 6 months probation and fired in August. During the process of being fired from the city, D'Angelo threatened to kill the chief of police and allegedly stalked the chief's house. Marriage and relationships. In May 1970, D'Angelo became engaged to Bonnie Jean Cowell, a classmate at Sierra College, but she broke off the relationship after D'Angelo threatened her with a gun in order to force him to marry her. In November 1973, he married Sharon Huddle, and in 1980, they purchased the house in Citrus Heights where he was eventually arrested. Huddle became an attorney in 1982. The couple separated in 1991, and in July 2018, Huddle filed for a divorce. His unemployment history in the 1980s is unknown. From 1990 until his retirement in 2017, he worked as a truck mechanic at the Save Mart Supermarkets Distribution Center in Roseville. He was arrested in 1966 over an incident at a gas station, but the charge was dismissed. D'Angelo will now spend the rest of his life behind bars after pleading guilty to 13 murders and multiple rapes. He was sentenced to life in prison without any opportunity of parole. Well guys, that is the end of the video. Let me know how I did in the comments. Also, make sure you follow my social media where you can keep up to date with what is going on. Also, comment down what you want me to cover for future videos. Let me know and stay tuned for more videos in the future.